So, hi everyone, we are back and it is Dr. Chitra's session. She'll be talking about introduction to personality and human relations. Dr. Chitra is a psychiatrist, lecturer, and an internationally licensed PRH educator in Jakarta. So, what is PRH? You guys must be wondering, you guys heard it before with Dr. Lily. Well, now Dr. Chitra will be sharing and explaining about PRH. Okay, so she'll be sharing about positive psychiatry, that is a way to well-being. So the floor is all yours, Dr. Chitra.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Now, before we start, it's been a long afternoon, evening. So, why don't we stretch a little? Okay, so make sure you stretch. Make sure you get your glass of water. Self-care. Self-care is everything, eh? Remember, Dr. Lily said about burnout. We don't want burnout. Okay, so while we drink and we move a little bit, we'll watch a video. Velia, can you play the video?
On it.
Okay. The number one patient is you.
Yes.
Yes, it's good.
Yes.
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 Function better for my own sake and for the sake of others.
Okay, thank you for that. But what I want to share today is actually my story about finding myself. Yeah. So before that, I want to see. Just now, I gave the question of how many of you are burnt out. 81% is burnout of you are burnout. Oh my goodness, that's a large number. Yeah. I want to know another thing. Okay, here's another question, which is: was medical school your own choice or your own first choice? Because when I asked this in among my students, because I teach medicine, I actually found that was in about 2005. That was 2005. 30% of my students did not want to be there. So that's a bit sad. So hopefully, more of you actually want to be doctors. But it's the fact that a lot of us become doctors because of parents or society, things like that. So this is the reality here. I find 23%, 22% is still moving around. Actually, medicine was not their own choice. So let's have a look at the next slide. Yes, okay. So one of the things I find a lot among medical students is, we usually are academically endowed in school, so there's a bit of that pressure. And I don't know whether listening to all these inspiring speakers might even be a little bit of pressure. It's like, oh, I've got to do this, and I've got to do more, and I've got to do more, and I've got to do more. So let's have another vote on. Okay, so are you busy chasing success? Like, oh, I've got to succeed. Like, yeah, I did my after I did my medical school, for example, I was thinking, okay, what specialization do I go to? And things like that. And through this journey, through this questioning that I had, I encountered this thing, I suppose, called PRH. It was a workshop that my aunt sent me to. But in essence, what it did was help me reflect upon myself and who I was. Because the question is, who am I? Okay, who am I? Okay, I'm me. I suppose I know this is me. But then I noticed that we get lost. We get lost in life chasing success, chasing this and then another thing and then another thing, doing this and doing that. And then we kind of forget who we are. So I also had a little bit of burnout, sort of like, what am I doing here, when I was in medical school? And that's when I first joined the workshop in PRH. And I discovered my love for patients, my love for being with them, the honor I felt when people were able to share that, very personal part of their lives, their vulnerabilities, their strengths, when I would be with a new mother who gave her first, born child life into the world. It was amazing. It's that feeling that it meant a lot. So I discovered that. And when I discovered that, it lighted my days. I became more interested again. I became passionate and compassionate, I suppose, as in the chat. So that was part of what I found. And then when I finished medical school, I was a bit like, okay, what do I do now? Do I do a specialization? Do I go into the rural areas and work? Do I become a lecturer? Those questions come up, right? The million different possibilities. And at that time, I took another workshop, and the title was Leading My Life at that time. So I was like, okay, I'm hoping that from this workshop, I'm going to come out saying either I'm going to be an obstetrician, for example. That's one of the things that I was interested in, women's health, or, psychiatry or other, researcher or whatever. And I discovered something even more, which is my goal in life is to be me. It's to be me. And your goal in life is to be you. And you see, being a doctor is a part of that, but it's not the only thing. And so when I discovered that, that liberated me to realize, what am I interested in? What am I called to discover, and so on. And so I made a choice actually to get married before I finished medical school. I wrote in the chat, my boyfriend and then husband would come with me, when I had my night shifts. He's an IT student at that time, and then he'd be programming on his laptop while I was doing my rounds and everything, that kind of thing. So after I graduated, I worked in the crisis center for women and children survivors of violence, and it was interesting because I got there because I had to take the leave after I got married, and it was like, even though I delayed my graduation, but I got into something that I wouldn't have otherwise, because that was the first station. I was with my the juniors, the year after me, and we were there together. And then I started working there. I started being interested there, and people asked me, "How could you work there? Aren't you stressed?" You know, you see people who were raped, who were victims of domestic violence. How could you survive? And I said, why could I survive? I didn't see the bad things. If I saw how cruel people can be towards each other, how painful people can be suffering, that would hurt. That I wouldn't last so long if I did that. But what I saw was the strength in people and how amazing they were. You know, there was this the mother who's black and blue, and I would say, you're amazing. You could come here to the hospital. How did you find the courage? How did you find the time? How did you find the means? You know, what you're going through, I can't even imagine. So you're much stronger, and for those people I met to hear me with my white coat. I don't wear my white coat anymore, but I used to. You know, we had to in the hospital, and you know, in this high building with my degrees and so on, say how amazing this person is. She's never been called amazing. You know, she's been called names and, you know, kicked and so on. It's something that's really liberating in people. And so this is my sharing about how I discovered myself through PRH, but also an invitation for you to discover yourself. Can we have the next slide, please, Velia? Okay, so let's see just now. I'm busy chasing success. 71% of you are, and 29 isn't. And here, this is our education system, right? We are measured according to standardized measures, which is understandable. We kind of need that to a certain degree. But sometimes, you know, we might be strong in things that we're not assessed, you know. Like, for example, my son, he loves gymnastics and dancing, but of course that was only extracurricular, right, in schools. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that we're not assessed by. So a lot of you say, okay, you also wish that the system can assess your uniqueness, you know, our uniqueness, that we are all made different. There's only one you in the whole wide world, but then we start comparing ourselves. You know, he's better, she's better, he's doing all these things, I should be doing this. You know, does that happen to you? Yeah. So let's see. I will ask another question. I like these questions. Okay. Okay. So do you struggle? Do you struggle to be yourself and at the same time adapt to the needs, the requirements, the expectations? Does it feel heavy sometimes? Oh my God, you're a doctor. I remember, my neighbors would knock and say somebody's sick. So it's like I suddenly have to practice everywhere. You know, you'd be asleep. If you're an accountant and you're asleep, I'm sure you're allowed to sleep. You know, maybe at certain times of the year you need to do the bookkeeping or something, but like you can't escape being a doctor, right? So it's tremendous pressure as well. Can we see the next slide, please, Velia? Okay, but see, at the end of the day, it's about being you, as I said. So it's about actualizing what you feel is truly in you. Yeah. So let's have the next slide. So every one of us have gifts, everyone. And see, we are all made different, right? So imagine if you're a mango tree and then you see that coconut tree and you say, oh my God, he's so tall. You know, I should grow as tall as him. I'm 143 centimeters, by the way. So it's like, oh my goodness. But I'm not made that way. You know, you don't want a mango tree as high as a coconut tree. You know, we're all made differently. So, and if we know our gifts and we really, really develop them, then that's what uplifts lives. And when I realized that, oh, my goal in life is to be me, you know, in the crisis center and so on, I ended up going to get a scholarship from AusAid in my Masters of Women's Health. It's a master's in women's health. It doesn't exist anymore, but you know, it's like people ask me, right? What are you? So are you an obstetrician? No. What specialization do you want to go to? What about a lateralization? They're like, what? Okay, why? Because in women's health, we learn about gender. We learn about public health and public policy. We learn about, political issues. We learn about anthropology and cultural issues. We learn about lots of different things, but in terms of gender, and not just women. Actually, we then pay attention to like things like masculinity, the what we call the mainstream way of being a man. You've got to be manly and things like that, and how that also inhibits people to be themselves often. Yeah, so it allowed me this new discovery. It's like, wow, we're in medicine, we're used to being really focused. What's the good case that you have today? One resident asked me when I was an intern, and I asked, they're people. I said, they're people. Yeah, they don't see themselves as that. So you want to fulfill yourself from within outwards. So 77% of you struggle with being authentic and adaptable. Okay, next slide, please. So what I realized is actualizing myself or being more fully me actually helps others. Yeah, sorry, there's a double me there, but it's important to remember that there's no one in the world exactly like us, and no one is less or more than another. And our mission for others is to be who we are meant to be. And we can grow in actualizing this mission. So if you want to read more, I wrote about my story in the PRH Australia website. So you can have a look at that in the newsletter at that time. So but basically, it is about following that curiosity, following that fire in you, like what draws you. And what draws you will be different to each person. Yeah. So next slide, please. Hello, next slide, please. Hello. Felia, can you hear me?
Summerfair is hosting the slides. I think there's some technical errors. Yes.
Okay. So do you need me to share? I've got my slides too. Okay. Wait, let me share. Okay.
Oh, I think Summerfair is back on.
Okay. Yes. So life is a journey of self-discovery. So that's what I found out. So after my master's in women's health, I came back to Indonesia, but it was like I was doing my minor thesis, and I was like, I have to go back before Christmas. I thought I just wanted to spend Christmas with my family, but it turns out that on the 26th of December, there was a big tsunami. So I don't know whether, some of you were impacted or about it. But it was really big, the tsunami, the Indian Ocean tsunami. And a lot of my friends came right away, went to help, especially the ones who were in, tropical medicine, surgery, those fields. I came later on, about 6 months later on. So the original debris had gone. But the pain that people were, facing, as well as the strength, it was amazing. So for me, it was another like wow moment when I saw them. It's similar, with the people in the crisis center. They suffered a lot, but they were also very strong. So I was amazed by them. And I came there because we were building crisis centers around the country. So the crisis center at my hospital, Cipto Mangunkusumo, at that time, that was the first crisis center in the country. And now we've got crisis centers all over the country. So that was part of the module that I made with the Ministry of Health to be able to establish the crisis centers around the country. So I'm really happy that happened. But when we came to Aceh, we went to Aceh, which is the worst hit area. They needed a different thing. A crisis center for women and children survivors of violence is important. Yes, it is. But there was something else. And it was disaster mental health. And we had no idea at that time. We were clueless. We never learned about disasters, in medical school. We knew about PTSD, but like this much, right? So I went back to Australia to do my PhD. So I did my PhD on how people dealt with disasters. So for me, rather than chasing milestones, like, okay, let's do my master's and then do my PhD, it wasn't that. It was an organic kind of, I wanted to find out more. And how would you find out more? Well, you'd study. And how would you study? So that opened up doors. And from that, I did a lot of travels. We went around Australia, we went around New Zealand, we went around Europe. me and my family. So my husband and I, we did our master's and PhD together. And I had one son in Indonesia and another one in Australia. And then we brought them around the world. We went around the US as well. So we drive around very cheaply too. I put in the chat. New Zealand, $60 per day for 7 people. So not expensive. We went through conferences and things like that as well to pay for our flights. So it was possible for us to do this, but it was not because of an ambition, but it's more because I was trying to be more myself. I was trying to discover more of myself and what I was called to do. And after I returned, because I was already in very much the mental health arena, I became a psychiatrist. And that helped a lot for me to be able to, sort of focus in this area. But then I discovered, wait a minute, something's still missing. Because in medical, and the medical way of thinking is still very much, I suppose early identification of illnesses and, the curative model is still very, very strong, risk factors, pathological way of thinking. So you look for illnesses, you look for symptoms and diagnoses. But for being human, I didn't think that was enough. So I studied positive psychology. I went to the presentation. I presented at the Positive Psychology Conference, and then I invited Martin Seligman to talk in Indonesia, but online. He presented online. He's the founder of Positive Psychology. If you want to know him, but then I discovered, oh yeah, I've been using PRH, personality and human relations, as a person who was working on myself. Maybe this is necessary. So I ended up taking the license. I ended up taking the license to be able to share. And I work a lot with doctors because doctors have the highest burnout rate, and medical students as well, very high stresses, and giving you the permission to be yourself. My goodness. And saying it's okay to sleep, to eat. When people are dying, when people are sick, it's really hard. We have that guilt. And it's important to release ourselves from it, liberate ourselves. Yeah. So can I have the next slide, please? Hello? Okay. Wait. Yes. Okay. So it's about giving the best of yourself. So if you can do one good thing for yourself, stop comparing yourself to others. There's no one in the world that is you. And discover your strengths and aspirations and really share and enjoy your gifts. So I take the example of Gandhi. Gandhi was a lawyer in South Africa, and he could have been a very successful lawyer, you see, but he decided to be Gandhi. So which would you prefer? You want to be you first, and then allow the professions and the work to help you do that rather than the other way around. You see, don't. I remember one of my lecturers when I became a psychiatrist said, "Yes, well, we have sort of like a blueprint or a mold, and you got to fit into the mold." And I'm like, wait a minute, we're organisms, we're human. We don't go into molds. So, that mindset, let's free ourselves from this mindset. And then you are free to be more than what you could ever imagine. Okay, so let's see the next slide. So, okay, so for me, I use PRH, but you might find something else, okay? So be free, explore whatever you use. Some people like meditation. Some people like action. Some people like, some of my friends, their meditation is sewing people up. Some of my friends are like that. That's okay. Do whatever works for you. For me, I I use PRH, and if you want to know some of the ways we do it is we do a lot of journaling. So I don't know whether some of you, let's ask a question. Do anyone, let's keep a journal. Let's see. Do you keep a journal? Okay, meaning keep as in once in a while is okay, but let's have a look. Okay, let's have a look. Does anybody do a journal? I love to write. You see, I've been a writer since I was a kid. My first publication in the newspaper was when I was 6. Yeah, it was a poem that I gave to my friend for his birthday because I had no money to buy him a gift. Okay, so you have gifts in you. It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be, material or financial. So that's what I did. I wrote him a poem. It turns out that his mother worked for the newspaper, and it got printed in the newspaper, and I got paid for it. So here I was giving a birthday gift and I get paid. That's quite interesting, isn't it? And then the mom said, okay, show me your diary. Do you have anything else? Do you have any more writing? And I said, oh, I keep my diary. And she said, can I have a look? And I said, yeah, I guess. And then she looked at my diaries, and I started publishing since then. So having a diary, it's about sharing your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences, and it's amazing when we share. Actually people like it. I was like, okay, and I'd go on a trip somewhere, or there was a vaccination for the cats, a rabies vaccination for the cats. I'd write about that. There was Marcos versus Cory Aquino in the Philippines. I wrote about that. As a kid, just like, oh, everybody's talking about this. Oh, who do you pick? Who do you pick? Why do you pick that? I just asked people, and my brother said, I'm gonna pick my friend. Okay, I wrote about that. It was just that, and it was amazing. So just by being who you are and sharing your gifts, you can go very, very far. Okay. So it's about experiencing fulfillment and meaning and actualizing yourself, whatever it is, Zumba, whatever you love. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is a PRH. So PRH, why is it PRH? When I say personality and human relations, well, actually it comes from the French acronym. And that's why you don't know so much about it, because it's more popular in French-speaking areas. So we're talking about Belgium. It's very strong in Belgium. Actually, the government pays for people to come to workshops. Wouldn't that be nice? That would be nice. Okay. In places like Canada, the Francophone Canada, it's also very big. So it's more in France, of course. So in countries that are French speaking. So it's been translated into English, but not to the extent that it could be. So that's why we're doing a lot of research about it. Lily, for example, she is in the process to become an educator. So she's already running, she's a facilitator. She's already running lots of workshops. And there's a module that PRH made on burnout that was developed by a doctor in Belgium, who is also a PRH educator. So we will be, because of the data that we found, that so many of you medical students are burnt out, 93 to 95%. Oh my goodness, that's a lot. Here it's less. That's good, but it's still quite high just now. Yeah, 81% at one point. So it's like it's a high number. So we're going to try out the module for medical students so that you can also be relieved, but also to see, we need research to show, before and after, is it useful and that kind of thing, right? Because we're in medicine, so that's kind of what's necessary. This has developed, because it's not therapy, it is psychopedagogy, they call it. It's development, it's learning. It hasn't been tested in the same way. It has a different type of research, an educational type of research rather than sort of a clinical research. So we're trying it in a new approach in this way, but it's still very limited. So because our workshops are very small, people get to share, very intimate. So we can't have like 500 people or 200 people like right now. Yeah. So we have to take bits at a time. Okay, and it's now in 40 countries, so there's a lot of educators around the world, and there's a more and more doctors who are interested in this because it helps us be better doctors. You don't necessarily have to be an educator, but being able to notice our strengths, be ourselves, and notice other people's strengths, and help them be themselves is liberating. Truly is. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so here's some photos. These are some photos from some of the workshops that we had with students, with doctors, with all sorts of groups, and it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. Okay, next slide. Okay, so now I invite you to discover you, and these are 3 questions that actually was researched to be found to be indicators of resilience. Yeah, resilience means you're bouncing back from difficulties. And the 3 questions may be simple but quite profound, which is, what do I have? We're talking about my gifts to share with the world, right? I have my life, that's for sure. I have 2 hands. I have education. What do you have? What are you grateful for? That's what it is, right? Then you realize that you have so much. And then the next question is, I can, right? What can you do? I can write, I can sing, I can speak, I can send messages to my friend to encourage them. I can do a million things, actually. I can breathe. Do you remember to breathe? Breathing is very powerful for relaxation. Yeah, I've got a video on my website, so have a look at it. And I made it for Better Work ILO. So they wanted to help the garment factory workers, because a lot of them are being laid off. The textile industry is very big in Indonesia. So with the economy going down, a lot of them were laid off. A lot of them were stressed economically and so on. So ILO has this program called Better Work, which works with the garment industry. So we gave them workshops, but there are too many, right? How many? 100,000 people or something. So I made videos so that they can share it, very short, one minute videos, so that they can, it's Instagrammable and so on. So people can learn to relax it with different ways. So that's an example. I can make videos. I can breathe. I can teach someone to breathe. Simple things, right? And the third thing is I am. And I am is the characteristics that are you. The fact that you are here in AMSA means I am international. I am friendly. I am open. I am curious. What are all those traits that you have? The positive traits that make you you. That is a gift to share to the world. Yeah? So what I'm going to do now is I have a Mentimeter. Yeah? So I invite you to go to it's www.menti.com. Yeah, I'll put that in the chat so you know it, and you can copy it. Wait, let's see. How do I go into the chat? Okay, here. Okay. Yep. And then there's the code 445001. Okay. So type in the code 445001, and I will present this. And now I ask the host to change the slide. I will share slide instead. Okay, let me try to share slide, and I invite you to write in the Menti. I hope you can get it. Yes, very good. Okay, let's hope it comes up. Okay, can you see my screen? Otherwise, I'll just read it. Okay, you should be able to see your screen. Okay, write them down. Your strengths. What do you have? What can you do? Who are you? What traits are positive about you? Look at this. It's beautiful. You've got your family. I have my family. I I have freedom. Oh, that's beautiful. I have my friends. I have my voice. Oh, there's so much beautiful things. I can. Let's see. I can write. Yes. I can. What else can you do? You can do lots of different things here. Oh my goodness, there's so many different things. Yeah, I have empathy, I have faith, I have joy, I have air to breathe. I have so many beautiful, beautiful things, and it's just amazing. It's just wonderful to see how beautiful all of you have all of this. Yeah, you have determination, courage, love, joy, curiosity. You can influence people. You can speak. You have energy. Isn't this fantastic? Look at this. It's fantastic. See how wonderful you feel and how wonderful you are. And this is what we're talking about. This is about the self-discovery process. And before you were like, oh, some of you have an exam on Monday. My goodness. I hope this gives you strength. Yeah. I hope this encourages you to feel good about yourself and to feel that you are in your path. And even if some of you didn't choose medicine, you were kind of thrown here, there's so many possibilities. You can be who you are and who you're meant to be. Yes? So isn't that beautiful? And keeps on going. Oh, it's so small. I don't know whether you can see it anymore, but you've got you are loved. You can learn. You have life. You can share love. Oh, beautiful. Yes? It's amazing. I am so happy to be with all of you wonderful people. Look at this. Woo! I have hope, dream. Yes. You have all sorts of wonderful. You can dance. Ah, that's wonderful. You have courage. You can be yourself. Yes, you have yourself, and that's very important. Yes, you have determination. Oh, lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Let's see. Oh my goodness. See, it's the end of the day and we're all energized. It's 9 p.m. Oh, but be careful. Yeah, you need to sleep too. Yes. Okay. So this is what it's all about. It's about you. At the end of the day, it's about you. So if you don't have a journal, that's okay. Why? Because you can do it in other ways. You can have a blog. You can write in your Instagram. You can write messages on WhatsApp to your friends. You can sing to yourself. You can dance it. You can cook. Whatever you feel alive in and whatever makes you feel alive, that's gonna be the best thing you can share with others. Okay, so listen to those things. Listen to the things that people say are maybe not important, but maybe it is important. So maybe it's the small things, but it can be very powerful. I love this, and I will share this. So at the end of this, we will have the whole word cloud. Yes, I'll share it with the organizers, so you can see them, you can enjoy them, and you can see how amazing it is to be in this community together, to support each other, to see the positive in each other, and to share the love. I think that's the key, isn't it? Okay, so we're at 129 in the Mentimeter and keep on going. While we do that, the Mentimeter will keep on going. I will go back to a different thing, which is, can you see this? Okay, so I'm just going to share a little bit. This is, can you see it? Yes? Okay, so this is the workshop that I will be running. I will be running in September. So I don't know whether you can see it. Oh, time's up. So, but have a look on my website and have a look on PRH Indonesia and send me an email. Okay? Thank you. And in the meantime, if you want to keep on seeing this, it's 139 now and getting more and more. Excellent. That's all for me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chitra. I'm so sorry that we have to stop you.
Yes, of course. I mean, it's past time, way past.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so Dr. Chitra, you can join the social launch.
Yes.
Okay, so we will have Dr. Judson now with us. Dr. Judson is our partner from Lecturio. I hope that his mic is working well and your camera too, Dr. Judson.
Can you hear me, Marjorie?
Yes, but I can't see you.
Oh, that's okay. Well, I haven't. Hopefully now you can.
Okay. So here we have Dr. Judson. He's the last speaker for the day, and we'll be giving out lecture scholarships on the third day. I'm so sorry. I hear my echo. Why is it? Okay, I think it was from you. Okay, sorry guys. And so they will be giving scholarships to the winners on the hackathon of day 3. And yes, the floor is all yours, Dr. Judson. You may begin anytime.
Thank you,
I'm so
Marjorie.
sorry that you were waiting.
No worries. I really enjoy the presentations. Thank you, Dr. Citra, Dr. Vito. Very motivating, moving. And I think ultimately, to Dr. Vito's point, you should be very proud to be doctors. It's a huge accomplishment. And I think ultimately it leads to the question, okay, great, I'm a doctor now, but what do I do? Am I going to stay a general doctor? Do I want to specialize? And a lot of times those are conversations earlier on. And then to Dr. Citra's point, I think there's an opportunity for everyone, to one, think outside the box. She had some amazing trips, to Australia, so it's a bunch of other places, USA, and she did it, very affordably. And I think we put limits on ourselves, unfortunately, as humans. And when you think about that as a doctor, you're really, unfortunately, taking away so much opportunity. But I think a lot of times, it really comes down to sort of our perspective on life and how early on in the process we sort of figure things out. So let's back up a minute. So right now I'm in Texas, right? I'm in Houston, Texas. Not exactly Houston. I'm close to Houston. I'm in the Woodlands. It's about 35 miles north of Houston. Anyhow, the phrase, I think some of you guys have heard it. It's everything's bigger and better in Texas, and that really is true. I mean, everything is bigger. Trucks, houses. It's sort of funny, but there's a pride, I would say, in Texas that is definitely unique, and I think there's a pride with doctors that is unique. And I think when you look at, honestly, doctors and why they're have so much pride, it's because it's not easy to get where you are, but then it's not easy to get where you want to go either. And there's a lot of decisions. And one of the questions that I saw earlier that I sort of found interesting is when you're sleeping and others are working hard, what is your thought on that? And my answer was work smarter, not necessarily harder, because you can work hard. Everybody's working hard, but you got to work smart. You got to find a system that works. And that's sort of where Lecturio comes in. But I do want to back up a moment and just touch upon a couple of points. One is Confucius said, find a job that you love and you'll never work one day in your life. And Marjorie sort of talked around that earlier. But how many people actually believe that? Because ultimately, are you just becoming a doctor because your family wanted you to become a doctor, or are you doing it because of passion? So if you can type in the chat, passion, something like that, then I know that you really have the passion for what you do. I think that would be helpful for me. Don't jump on it all at once. I know it's late. See, it's early in the morning for me. Here it's like only like 9 o'clock. But you guys, it's like the end of the day. You're probably dragging. Some of you are like, oh man, I just fucking just have a glass of wine now, or But so the more you can actually sort of interact, the more fun it's going to be for us. I do want to say I just really want to have a conversation with you guys, more like a conversation like at Starbucks, just a nice coffee shop. And you guys have some great ones out in Asia. You do. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Can everybody see my screen now?
No, not yet. Yes, we do, but it is a little truncated. It is a little
Get ahead
truncated.
of the curve. You see that, Marjorie?
Yeah, it is a little truncated though on the right side, but I think all is well.
Yeah. All right, perfect. Y'all can see my name. Perfect. Webinar August 8th. All right, so just a little bit of humor before we begin.
Yep, it's okay. But Dr. Judson, can you please hide the little ribbon down there?
What's that?
The sharing your screen ribbon at the bottom.
Oh, that, move it? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay,
Is that
thank you. Yep.
Yeah. All right, so just a little bit of joke, obviously, with the pandemic. It's been a tough year, right? I mean, we're living life a little bit different than we knew it just, 6 months ago. But I think there is light at the end of the tunnel, and I think we got to stay positive, and ultimately we'll have some solutions. But in the meantime, at least we can do events like this online. So let's talk about Lecturio. Lecturio is a new mindset, and ultimately it's going to help you from stop cramming. You're not going to be waiting to the last minute. It really sort of highlights the reverse classroom. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And it's all in one from day one. Why do we say that? Well, it gives you all the tools that you need from day one of med school to really set yourself up for success. And really, it comes down to what I said earlier. It's not necessarily working harder. Everybody's working harder. It's working smarter. Affordable. It's extremely affordable. Some of you may have seen me before. I was at Kaplan Medical for like 10 years. So if you're like, oh man, that guy looks familiar, huh? Well, it's probably because of that. When we think about what Steve Jobs said, the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Do you guys actually believe that? If you want to type in the chat, me, that would be great. I honestly believe this. And I believe if you're part of AMSA Asia, I think inherently you believe in that, because your organization is changing lives, and it's doing it every day in terms of the interactions and the exchange of thoughts and these types of events. And I think you have a good opportunity to do that. These are the faces of Lecturio. So a lot of professors, you're going to see them from top schools, Johns Hopkins, Harvard, UCL. If you count up all the years of their teaching experience combined, over 200 years, and they've won dozens of awards. And the awesome part about all of this is you can still have the same access and experience with them, and you're not having to pay the price of Johns Hopkins, Harvard, or UCL. You're getting them access all the time, 24/7, anywhere, anytime, even offline. So when you go into the system of Lecturio, what you're going to see is there's different options. There's pre-med, there's preclinical, there's clinical. Now, when you dig deeper into the preclinical, there's a couple of options. We highlighted the US only step 1. Some of you may actually want to do medical residency in the United States. And that's a good stopping point. If you can type in the chat, if you would like to do medical residency in the United States, go ahead and type in USA. That would be awesome. Now, when you're looking at the step 1, you can actually filter by subject or by organ system, which is obviously convenient. And then when you look at step 2 CK, obviously you can do something similar. MBBS, we do have that as well. A lot of you in Asia will, if you're following those programs, it would be the MBBS. And then I'm going to show you a demo in a little bit, but I do want to finish the presentation. When we think about, in terms of med school, and we want to go ahead and move forward, what I can tell you is what makes a big difference is evidence-based learning system. To really know that we're getting something. Because I think a lot of times you go in and it's like, okay, I attended this lecture, I'm sort of going through the motions. But the reality is, are you getting it? And if you are, do you really know that? Can you prove it? And that's something that with Lecturio you can do, because you're going to watch the videos, and after each video, you have a question. You have spaced. You actually have a recall question. over 20,000 questions, in fact. And so you're going to go ahead and get tested to see if you understand the concepts, so you can dominate them. And then from there, you're going to go ahead and practice some, I would say, preclinical questions if you focused on more the basic sciences, or clinical questions. So you practice those Q-Bank questions. And then from there, you can go ahead and practice more in a general format, spaced repetition. What do I mean by spaced repetition? Those are the recall questions, those 20,000 recall questions. But after you watch the video, they're questions that you've actually seen that you can come back to. And the importance is to make sure that you've mastered them. And so the system has this really smart algorithm that's going to let you know, and it's going to help you track. So it's going to keep coming back until you get it. So the old learning format was, and this goes for thousands of years, right? Basically, you have the professor dictate to the student, and you can see the students like a little bit angry right there, like, oh my God, when is this going to end? And so now you have sort of like this sort of opposite, the reverse classroom, which means that you as students, you can go into the class prepared. And that means obviously having actually done some work, watched videos, practiced questions. So you're sharpening your skills and your knowledge before you get into the class. And we have tools to help you get there. And that's called the reverse classroom, right? So we got videos, we got spaced repetition, recall questions, we've got Q-Bank, all of that. And so you're going to do that before class. So now you go into class, and guess what? You're going to get so much more out of it. You're going to be a smarter student. You're going to be working smarter, not harder. And I think that is a very important phrase. Working smarter, not necessarily harder. Because everybody's working hard, right? So studying with Lecturio will boost your performance, 37% more correct answers, and as well 20-point increase on the NBME CBS essay scores using Lecturio. So you can kill two birds with one stone. Ultimately, when I think of Lecturio, I'm always thinking, one, you would sign up because you'd want to become a better student. And then second, perhaps maybe you have some other type of, goal, like USMLE prep. But you can kill two birds with one stone. Now, I asked you earlier, how many of you are interested in, actually doing a residency in the United States? Well, there's a huge opportunity. There is. And there's different statistics out there. I'm using this one, but there's another one, as I will mention too. But right now, we have a deficit of doctors, or a shortage of around 30,000 doctors. Other I would say data sources put it at 65,000 as of 3 years ago. Now, if you look in 2030, we're predicted to actually have a deficit of 105,000 more or less. Now, there's some other statistics out there that would be in 2040, we'll need 130,000 doctors. That's a lot. That's to me, that's a crisis. And when we look at the opportunity, 25% of the workforce is actually made up of doctors like yourselves. So what does that mean? So 1 second, let me grab my passport because I want to show you something. So an IMG is an international medical graduate, right? I think some of you are familiar with the term, maybe the newer ones, maybe not as much, but international medical graduate. And there's a couple of types. There's the one with the US passport right here. And there's other ones that are from other countries. And so ultimately, you could still be an IMG, either American, like the United States, or you could be outside of the United States, but you'd still be an international medical graduate. Why? Because you studied outside the United States. Now, in terms of that opportunity, if you look at this year's statistics, 2,744 matches non-US IMGs. And if you look at first-year positions, that's almost 4,200 and something positions. That's up 2.5%. If you look at top specialties, honestly, it's primary care. That's a big focus. Internal medicine, over almost 3,600 positions. If you look at family medicine, pediatrics. Now, this is just focusing on the non-US IMGs. I don't know how many of you have a US passport, but I'm thinking most of you don't. So in that case, being a non-US IMG, these are huge opportunities. And I can tell you that if you look at the US IMG, first of all, they have less. That's where we're going to go right now. They actually have less matches, and the percentage of match was actually less for the first time last year. So let's highlight a couple of things. So if you're a US IMG, that means you have a US passport, right? Your green card. If you don't, that means you're a non-US IMG. So almost 7,000 applicants. In terms of the positions, there are actually more matches for non-US IMGs than US IMGs. Now, there are also more applicants, right? But the reality is there were more matches too for you guys, non-US IMGs. And the percentage of match was actually higher. Now, I do want to point something out. 10 years ago, that's a long time ago, right? And I was actually focused on international student recruitment. 10 years ago, we were talking about 39% match rate. 39% match rate for non-US IMGs. Fast forward to 2020, you're looking at 61%, right? That's huge. That's a huge increase. That's a 22% increase in 10 years. It's pretty awesome. Now, let's take a look at salaries, because I'm thinking if you were falling asleep earlier, because obviously the day's been long, these salaries might wake you up, because seriously, it's a lot of money. Think about that. Orthopedics, over 500,000. Now, keep in mind, this is just average salaries, right? Either private or public, just average salaries. Now, of course, we know some orthopedists out there can make $1 million. Same as plastic surgeon, right? You know, Dr. Hollywood, plastic surgeon, is going to be making like $1 million. Now, if we look at the poorest doctor, right, pediatrics, right, pediatrician, they're only making $225,000. Oh, right. You can see the tears coming out of my eyes. That's a lot of money. I mean, that's really, in essence, like $20,000 per month. Now, I do have to point out that's before taxes, right? Now you get to pay taxes. Now, the more money you make, obviously, the more taxes you pay in general. Depends on the state. So $20,000 per month, poorest doctor. And guess how much the basic salary is in the US? It's around $1,200. So really, this pediatrician is making what, like 18, 17 times more than the basic salary. That's pretty amazing. So there's definitely payback in terms of having made that extra effort to become a doctor. And I do want to highlight something very important. If you're an IMG, in general, you're not going to have that huge student debt that US medical graduates have. On average, guess how much debt they have after their 4 years of medical school? Over $200,000. So having a high salary is obviously going to help pay off those loans. But you as an IMG most likely do not owe that kind of money. That's a huge win for you. So you're going to keep more of that money. So if you want to become a resident in the United States, you want to do medical residence in the United States, what do you need to do? Well, the process is pretty straightforward. You need to start with ECFMG, Education Commission for Foreign Medical Graduate, and that means ultimately getting a certification. It also means validating your degree. So that means passing step 1, step 2, and step 2 CS for all three exams. And so, one second.
Hi, Dr. Judson.
All right. One second. Let me go ahead and share for a moment.
I see your pet. It went up the stairs.
Oh, you did? Sorry about that. I'm in Doors, actually. I just moved here, so
Oh,
I'm in the Woodlands, Texas, but I need to get doors so I can sort of block that out. That's sort of in the works. It's a black guy too, by the way. Oki and Rudy, yeah. So in terms of ECFMG certification, that means obviously getting a certificate. And that's a big deal. Why do I say that? Because if you're in Asia and Europe, a lot of times doctors can get paid more for having ECFMG certification. Now, truth be told, most doctors who become ECFMG certified are going to do it because, well, they want to do a medical residency in the United States. Now, ERAS, Electronic Residency Application System, that's how you get a JOB. JOB, yeah. It's late at night, right? So I'm making you work, right? Job, yeah, job. I didn't want to say that too loud at first. So you're done, and now you're going to work, right? So the way you get a job is obviously you need to apply, right? Which means sending out an application. Now, big change here. In the past, it also meant being filtered out by scores. Step 1 and step 2 were big deals. You had to score high, and we would say high scores open doors. And that's what a phrase that I would say like for the longest time. But now in 2022, it's going to be changing to actually pass fail. So what does that really mean? It means step 2 CK is going to be the big focus in terms of scoring. And step 1, well, it's pass fail. So that means you can take it up to 4 times. And ultimately, I think it's sort of a win in general for students because you don't want to just sort of be labeled because of a score. So I think that helps, but it also does mean it's going to be a little bit more difficult in terms of standing out as IMG. And that means focusing on other areas such as your personal statement, your letters of recommendation. But, I think organizations like AMSA Asia, what you guys do is a good way to differentiate and sort of highlight yourself. Every hospital is going to be very interested in your leadership skills. And I think if you can take some type of leadership opportunity, I think that could be huge because they're always looking for leaders. And that's sort of what you need to think long term if you want to actually be competitive as a doctor, right? Getting residency in the United States. I will say, obviously, research is important. You've got doctors who send out over 200 applications, but that costs a lot of money. Ultimately, what you want to do is really research, get it down to 70 to 80 programs, max 100. Remember the statistic. For every 12 applications you send out, you should get 1 interview. For every 12 applications you send out, you should get 1 interview. So now moving on to NRMP, National Residency Match Program. What is that? That's basically the biggest match. There's other matches, the urology match, San Francisco match. And what the NRMP is the biggest one. And so people call it the match as if it were the only one. But the reality is there's other ones. Now that happens in March every year. But in order to actually apply, you want to do that in September. September 15th is sort of the cutoff. And then November, December, January, you would have interviews. So that's sort of the process there. Now, Lecturio offers the most complete, I would say, comprehensive preparation out there because it's not just focused on the USMLE. It's much more than that. It's about becoming a better doctor, and you can do that from day one. It's going to provide you the foundation. It's going to provide you the strategy. So you're working not just harder, you're working smarter. And you can obviously practice and you can set up schedules. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges with doctors is sort of finding that rhythm, that study rhythm that works. Now, student satisfaction, 85% increase their exam confidence, 97% increased flexibility and convenience, and 93% recommend Lecturio to a friend. These are the pricing. And so what I do want to point out is you're going to have a code. And that wasn't the code, but you do have a code in terms of what it is. And so we're working with you all now, and we will provide that code to you so you can take advantage of the pricing. And that's 50% off of the pricing, the standard pricing. So if you looked at the website and you looked at the pricing, it'd be 50% off of that, the standard pricing. Personally, I would recommend the 4-year plan. I know obviously it's money up front, but I think it's money well spent. I mean, you're getting access to professors from Johns Hopkins, Harvard, UCL, in other universities. You're going to have access to that kind of level of program and content early on. And let me show you the system so you can see it for yourself, oops, let me look at the time.
Yep. And Dr. Judson, please let me know if you want me to send the link that you gave.
Oh, please, yeah. Can you send a link for activation? That'd be a perfect time to do it. Thank you, Marjorie.
Okay. So I've sent the link, guys. Please access the link. And Dr. Judson will guide you guys through.
Awesome. Fantastic. If you guys want to just take a minute and activate that right now, this is probably a good point to do that. If you've already done it, maybe this is a good time to maybe ask some questions in the short term. I'm here for you guys. I just want to see you success. I love being part of these events. Just so helpful. Just another resource to get you where you need to go, and building the relationships and the contacts that obviously make a difference. Because we know it's what you know is important, but it's also who you know. And being a part of an organization like AMSA really opens a lot of doors. Some of you may not understand that completely yet, but I think when you get to interviews, if you want to do medical residency in the United States, being a part of AMSA, I think, will make a big difference. It's something you can definitely highlight. All right. So is there any possibility for us to get into, yes, there is. Guys, don't get bogged down by some statistics out there, right? And there's all different types of statistics. Like, okay, if you take the exam in the US, you've got a better chance of getting a medical residency, or you got a better chance of getting a higher score. Things are sort of manipulated in that sense. In the sense the wrong information gets out. Getting a position in the US like surgery, dermatology, anesthesiology, they're challenging, right? I'm not gonna lie. But it's not impossible. Don't put limits on yourself. I do know doctors who are IMGs who got surgery, plastic surgery, but they did an amazing job. One, they did really well on the exams. They scored well. They also did the letters of recommendation. They got 3 or 4 from U.S. licensed physicians, and they had a great CV. And so they did everything well from early on. And that's what I would say. If you want to do this, the earlier you start, Lecturio is affordable. I mean, I was at Kaplan, and those programs realistically were like $4,000, $5,000, for a year access online. And Kaplan's a good program, but that is really expensive. And if you're a medical student and you want to get started earlier, honestly, the tools that we provide at Lecturio are fantastic. I came over to Lecturio. I fell in love with the system, and I think when you actually use it, I think you will as well. There's just so many benefits to it. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is the home screen. So on the home screen, you're going to see all your activities, tools that you can actually use. And here you can see, first of all, it's everything that's on the left pretty much is available on the home screen. So you can go down, scroll down, and you're going to get access to that. You can see the 99-day schedule. Here you can download it. Let me see if it's downloading today. Yesterday it didn't want to download. Perfect. So here we go. It's quite extensive. I mean, it breaks it down. So day 1, day 2, week 3, and I'm just slowly showing you. And it'll actually break it down for the day in terms of wake up at a certain time all the way till 10 p.m. at night. And here you can see a study plan overview. So everything is laid out conveniently. So if you want to do this down the road, I would definitely encourage you to follow this overview. Very straightforward, very easy to use. So let's go back into the system, and I'm going to show you something, which is the study planner. So what you'd want to do as a student is you would definitely want to practice your questions, and you can easily set up exams on your own. And I'll show you how to do that. Here, this student, like this mock student, has a lot of work to do, right? A lot of red. You want green, right? And so down below, you'll see the videos. The student's been working on the videos. And then you can see there's assignment. There's actually assessments, self-assessment. And that's what I encourage you to do as well. Do the self-assessment. There's 4 blocks. There's 4 of them, 40 questions, 160 questions total. I'd encourage you to do that. Also, there's tutorials in terms of how to use the system. Now, the video library, when I talked about working smarter, not necessarily harder, because everybody's working hard, there's all different types of options here. So if you're an MBBS program, you can totally select that. If not, you can do step 1, or you can even do generic for preclinical. Or pre-med, you're just getting started, you know, you could do that. Your brother or sister's just getting started, etc. Friend. You can also filter by organ system, by subject. You can take a look at, let me see, 1 second. Top diseases right here, like COVID. There's tons of videos on COVID. So you can see actually there's 75 videos. In terms of questions, there's 182 articles. There's tons of them. That's just on COVID. Now, let's dig deep. How is this going to help you? Let's talk about that. So if you want to get ahead in class, what you can do is match up the videos to watch prior to your class, which I think would be extremely helpful. So you're going to get 1 step ahead. So let's say you're starting out early on and you're focusing on anatomy. And here you could actually watch, let's say, a video, and
this relevant anatomy of the
hopefully you can hear it.
Outlet is useful in understanding thoracic outlet syndrome.
So here you can speed up. It has all the controls that you would imagine, right? Speed up, slow down, normal. It has all different types of languages, 13 languages in fact, Japanese, Chinese, English. So it really depends on what you want. The cool thing is not only subtitles, but transcripts. So if English is a second language, like for most of you, then that's a huge benefit because you can start learning the terms very easily. So really, Lecturio is almost like 3-in-1 because it's going to help you become a better doctor, help you prepare for the USMLE if you want to do that. Also, it's going to help you with your medical English. And you can see this step by step, different parts of the video. You can see what exactly the professor's saying. Now, if you want the same slides, you can download his slides and you can take a look at that as well. Also, you have notes here, which is pretty cool. So it's all in one, right? Very personalized. I do want to point out that it has 3D models. And I think 3D models really help you a lot because what you can do is you can actually rotate. You can go ahead and zoom in, zoom out. You can also write on it, which is pretty cool. So you can actually take notes, and now it becomes a personal tool. Now, at the end of the video, I'm going to show you something, right? I'm going to show you bookmarks. So here, I've got a couple of videos that still need to be actually seen.
All right.
And so
last up.
This professor is from Johns Hopkins, same high quality level of video. You can see high level images here. And at the end, this is the SMART algorithm I was talking about. So here, you're going to answer two things. One is, what is the correct answer? And then second, what is your level of confidence? So I'm not that confident on this. I'm just really guessing. And well, yeah, there we go. So here, somewhat, and let's say on this one, I'm more like very confident on that, but I got it wrong. So this algorithm is going to let you know how you need to review them. and it's going to time it. It's going to have you, it's going to bring back these questions so you can obviously review them. And so that's a big part of the system, which I think is extremely helpful. Now, going into the Q bank very quickly, here you can see the questions used and as well as your accuracy. And then you can see how you've done over time by subjects and by system. So here you can quickly see the questions used, your stronger areas, embryology, and your weaker areas, pathology and pathophysiology. We look at systems, stronger areas, you can see, and then weaker areas, general principles. Now, let's go back and create a very quick exam. So here we are. We want to create an exam. Now, do we want to leave explanations? Yes, we do, because we want to go ahead and find out why we're getting the answers wrong and right. And so we're going to leave that. We're not going to put the clock on. We're going to leave it. You can make any type of combination, subjects and systems. And here, type in 3 questions, and here we go. And so what you're going to see is this replicates the USMLE exactly. Same colors, same tools, everything is the same. You can see their real life case scenarios. Here we've got it. 2-year-old boy is brought to the emergency department. Let's go ahead and just put letter C for now. Here you can see there's high level images included. And then here we have another question, a little bit different style question, right? It's giving you a table. And so now we're going to go ahead and take a look at our performance, which wasn't great, right? It was 33%. But here you can see in terms of the percentages of where students answered historically on this question. And I think that gives you a great context in terms of where you're at as a student as well. Now look at the explanations in depth, as well. You have videos that are very helpful. So it's not just it's also being able to watch the video to follow up to make sure you're getting it.
Yep, Dr. Judson, I think it has been more than 30 minutes. But it's okay. Maybe you can wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it up. I'm nearly done, like 3 minutes.
Okay.
Basically,
Okay, sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, and so here you can see obviously the images. You can see first aid references, more videos, etc. At the end, let me see. You can also see your performance over time, which is pretty cool. So I can look 2 years back, etc., 12 months. I can see very quickly where I've been more active. I can also see where I have more issues. And so here I can go to these areas and I can actually go down the questions that I got wrong. And I think a big challenge as a medical student, doctor, is not knowing obviously what you're getting wrong so you can practice at it, because you need to make your weaknesses your strengths. I do want to quickly show you at the end why Lecturio. I think we talked about that. Teaching Word and Winning Educators, all-in-one solutions, accessible and affordable. I do want to point out, if you would like to become an ambassador of Lecturio, help us in terms of going out to the school, you could do that. You would want to reach out to Caitlin. If you would like Lecturio to be part of your medical school program, I can talk with the dean, the program director, and we can talk about making that happen. But you as a student and as an organization can definitely influence the decision makers. And I would encourage you to obviously speak out and let your voice be heard. Would you like Lecturio to provide an online presentation at your med school? Definitely reach out to me. We would love to provide an online presentation. It's easy. Add me on WhatsApp. If you have questions around the USMLE, I can easily type in answers to that. So add me on WhatsApp. It's not a bother. It'd be a pleasure to speak to you. I'm here for you guys. I love working with AMSA Asia. I love everything that you guys are doing. And I just want to support what you're all about. In any way I can help make you successful, I want to do that. So I know we're out of time, but I want to thank Marjorie. I want to thank Prima. I want to thank AMSA Asia just for your wonderful support. and for the ability to speak to you guys today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Judson. And we are AMSA International.
No, sorry.
It's okay. So thank you so much. And I'm personally apologetic because many of our participants have already left because it is really late here in Asia.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we still have a few of our friends that are actually from the Western side, and they are still with us. And I really thank them for being here. And thank you, Lecturio, for sponsoring us and giving 200 months of scholarship for the third day event. And I welcome you to join us on the third day if you want to, so you can witness the prize giving ceremony to all of the winners of the hackathon. So I will just message you personally about that, okay, Dr. Judson?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marjorie.
Okay. And thank you for staying with us, and you waited so long earlier. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Thank you.
Hey, I got to hear a fantastic presentation. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And so we will end the first day of AMSA Big Family Day here. And so we'll end the session, and feel free to mingle with your friends at the social lounge. We won't end it officially, so please excuse us, the committee. A few of us might have to leave. But, you know, guys, just go on. The party goes on, okay? So have fun. Thank you, and good night.
Good night, everyone. See you on the second Saturday next
On the
week.
third Saturday. Oh, yeah, Dr. Davy, do you want to say something? But we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, I am still here. If anyone wants to ask any more questions, I'll be around. I'll be going around the tables. And then what I said before, all these, if the tables will still remain open. It is not like Zoom when you turn off your, when the host turn off your Zoom and everyone can disappear. This is actually, the tables will remain open. Even like you have nothing to do, like 2 a.m. in the morning and you turn it on, it's still going to be there if you still have the access code, I tell you. But I'm not suggesting it now. Why I'm here now is to tell you that the next day, on our second day, on Saturday the 15th, the first session would be exercise. The Mr. Nepal 2019, Dr. Santos Upadaya is going to take us through exercise on how to be as hung as him. Okay? So come with your sportswear on the very first session. And after that, we are going to allow you to change to your speak and span look, your semi-formal look. And before we started to continue with our event. Today has been an amazing time, and you are all amazing participants. And I'm very, very happy to be here. And I think all our hard work is paid off because of you. Thank you so much. And I want to thank you all to the amazing committee. You are super amazing. No words can describe. Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone.
I love you. Asiteru.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.